'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I've breathed the mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Tullamore, Seymour, Lismore, Mooloolaba, Nambour, Roochdore, Kilmore, Marillaba, Emmaville, Wallaville, Connemara, Connemara, Strathrown, Proserpine, Alladala, Darwin, Ginger, Lilliquin, Muckilla, Wallamilla, Bougainville, Cumberland, Ramakilla. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere.
You know what? I just jumped over the word Emmaville in the song because Emmaville is in I've Been Everywhere. I forgot it was in there. And when I think about it, I shouldn't have forgotten that because the man who we are talking to this morning lives in Emmaville, and I've already spoken to him in preparation for the I've Been Everywhere project. His name is Evan Brown. Evan, good morning.
Good morning to you.
You've got Neil here. You've got Rob as the other voice you've already spoken with. I know Rob's got a really, really important question to ask, so I'm going to let him ask it. All right, here we go. Ready?
I didn't want to waste it off air, Evan, so I'm going to have it for the listener on air. Where the bloody hell is Emmaville?
Well, that's a good question. We try and
Thank you.
keep it a secret, but it's...
just north of South Emmaville, isn't
it? It's about 30 miles as the crow flies from the Queensland border. South of the Queensland border, we're about 160 miles by road from the coast. We're on the western side of the Great Divide, and we're not on any highway, so we're tucked away a little bit on a corner, and we only were put here because of the large quantities of tin that were discovered here in 1872. We're a tin mining town, or we were.
And I discovered this the other day. The closest, I'll call it reasonable-sized town would be Glen Innes. Would that be fair?
Glen Innes is about 6,000 or 7,000 people in Glen Innes. They're about 26 miles. What's that? About 40 kilometres.
How many others of you in Emmaville?
Depends how big a net you cast around, but between 300 and 500.
Yeah, so it's call it the region, because you, like most up there, agriculture would be a big part around the mining as well, and you sort of can spread the net a little bit when you're talking about the community.
Yeah, we do, and it's mainly grazing area nowadays. The tin, there's still a lot of tin and minerals up here, but the market fluctuations and so forth that died out in 1984. Really, we're hoping it comes back because there's still a lot of mineral here, so we can only hope for the best.
Now, I happen to know a bloke in that part of the world who knows quite a bit about the history because he runs the museum up there, or the museum committee. How long ago was the place thriving as a tin mining town before it started to taper off?
It was started in 1872 by pure accident. An amateur geologist was actually passing through. He camped with some Chinese shepherds that were here. It was only part of a big grazing property at the time, and he was an amateur geologist, and he found tin. He prospected the creek, found tin, and he let the word out, and the town grew from there. And in the first 4 years of production here, all by hand, they produced about 8,000 tons of tin. And it went on from there until 1984.
Now, just explain to me, please, Evan, when you find tin, I know what tin looks like, but what form is it in that the geologist would have found?
Well, the tin in Emmaville itself, the town was originally known as Vegetable Creek because the Chinese had vegetable gardens along the creek where the tin was found, and the name stuck with the town until the government changed it for us. But the tin in Emmaville is alluvial tin, and it just looks like reddish black heavy sand, very heavy sand. It varies in coarseness. It can be extremely fine, like very fine beach sand, or it can be really coarse and gravelly. And really, you've got to know what you're doing to know what you're mining.
And then the other thing that staggered me way back in the 1800s, what they knew what to do with the thing when they found it is another amazing thing. But the young geologist obviously listened to his teacher.
Well, he did, yeah. Well, he was a piano tuner by trade, the bloke who found it, and he made a lot of money out of it. Once he realised what he'd found, he staked a fairly large claim and then let the word out, and he sold most of his claim off to a big tin mining company called the Great Britain Mining Company, and he got £3,600 in 1874, or around about that time, for his share, and he wandered off into obscurity somewhere. We don't know where he got to, but he had a lot of money. It was a big deal in those days, 3,600 quid.
Probably didn't tune another piano after that. Of course, you know the difference between a piano and a fish, don't you, Evan?
I'm about to learn.
Yeah, no, you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah, thank you. I've been working up to that all morning. That's.
I hope it was worth it.
Rob's just shaking his head here. He's going,
nonplussed.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the next thing. It's called Vegetable Creek. How on earth does it get to Emmaville? Who's Emma?
Take a wild guess. I know the answer to this. Take a wild guess.
I would say it was the mayor's wife.
You're sort of in the right area, but we at the time, I don't think we actually had a mayor, but no, the government decided that the wife of the governor of New South Wales...
Oh, my goodness gracious. Yeah. I reckon Vegetable Creek's got a much nicer ring to it.
Oh, it does. But our hospital is still the Vegetable Creek Hospital.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Officially, even to this day, it is still the Vegetable Creek Hospital, but yeah, Lady Emma Augustus Loftus was the lady's name.
Bit lofty?
Goodness gracious me.
Oh, yeah, a little bit tough.
And the farming, when you say grazing, is it sheep and cattle, or is it mainly sheep country?
Well, historically it was nearly always sheep country, but in the last 30, 40 years it's swinging a lot toward cattle. And one of the really big properties here, there were originally three large properties here. There were Strathbogie, Wellington Vale and Ranges Valley were the three big leases. And they all had around about 70,000 acres each. And Ranges Valley was bought 20-odd years ago, 30 years ago by a Japanese consortium. And they've got a large cattle feedlot there, high-density cattle feeding.
Okay.
And they're a big employer in the area. They employ over 100 people out there. So, I know foreign investment's frowned upon a little bit, but they've done a hell of a lot of good for this area.
So before we let you go, Evan, because I know you've got things to do, if people are coming through to visit the museum, let's suppose they're coming up, say, the New England Highway, I guess would be the closest one, wouldn't it? How do they find you? And should they go into the museum and introduce themselves and say they heard about you on the Two Blokes Chatting radio show?
Yeah, why not?
Fair enough. How do they find you?
If you're travelling the New England Highway,
yep.
There are two ways to get to us. If you're travelling there's a direct road from Glen Innes to Emmaville, which is a bitumen road all the way. And but if you're going on the New England Highway and you go north of Glen Innes by about 40 kilometres, you come to a small village called Deepwater. If you turn left at Deepwater and go 30 kilometres, you bump into us.
I love the way during the last 10 minutes you've converted from miles to kilometres. Well done.
Well, in my brain, I think, and I look at a sign with kilometres and I mentally convert it to miles.
I'm with you, Evan. My brain still goes back to even how many miles to the gallon do you get out of that car?
Absolutely. And when I look at a person, I think, yeah, he's about 5'8".
And to be fair, though, Rob, the last time he went through Emmaville, there were still Chinese gardeners finding tin in the creek. That's about how old he is, but it's all good. Hey, thanks for being part of this morning. It was good to make your acquaintance, and I will be up to see your museum at some stage, and we'll let people know when your I've Been Everywhere project episode comes out early next year.
Righto, mate. Thanks for calling.